Croeso, my dear croissant friends. Welcome back to a very spooky installment of Opus LNI. It is nigh unto Halloween, and that means two things: delicious candy, and getting to fully unleash my not-so-inner goth. #aesthetic. As I mentioned at the end of the last episode, Mathew Gnagy of The Modern Maker has put together a historically inspired costume competition, which is being guest judged by Samantha McCarty, also known as the Couture Courtesan. And they both have YouTube channels, so make sure you check them out. I will put links to them in the cards and also in the description box below. The point of the contest is to make a historically inspired, but not 100% accurate, creepy Halloween costume. And as much as I love research and appreciate the drive to replicate original practice, the vast majority of my pre-modern clothing is going to fall into the realm of historically adequate. I have a day job, I'm a single mom, and I run a small art business, and also attempt to have a clean house and some sort of social life. I refuse to be shamed for making things how I make them, especially as I never hold them up as paragons of historical virtue. When I make a stab at historical accuracy and original practice, TM, you'll know. That all said, as soon as I saw Mathew announce the contest, I wanted to jump on this bandwagon with both feet. I had the idea of combining an item that I already owned, my burgundy kirtle, an item that I have but wanted to alter, an older linen shift that will be ombre dyed red at the hem, and a new item that I would have to make, a sheer black Elizabethan style shirt, to make a creepy, late Tudor-ish witch costume. So everyone grab your cuppa. Now that it's finally cold, I am drinking some of Tabletop Tea's Rogue, which is a black tea with smoky lapsang, caramel, and bourbon in my handmade cauldron mug from Lobster Rose Pottery, and links to both vendors will be in the description box below. And let's get into it.
First things first, chiffon is incredibly slippery, so I'm going to start by starching it in an attempt to make it behave at least a little bit. This took approximately forever. Once the fabric is behaving as well as I can get it to, it's time to start cutting. This shirt will take several different pieces: a front and back, sleeves, sleeve gussets, collar, cuffs, and ruffles. The shirt will have a slit cut down the front to allow my head to get through the collar. I'm going to finish that raw edge of the slit with Enya's Magic Veil Stitch, which you can find a tutorial for in my rolled hems video, before doing anything else. Before I start on the more fiddly bits, I want to sew the larger pieces of the shirt together: shoulders, sleeves, underarm gussets. I decided that instead of hand finishing the seams or finishing them with a serged or zigzag machine sewn stitch, I wanted to try out French seams. This is where the pieces are sewn together wrong sides in, the seam allowance is trimmed and pressed, and the fabric is turned so that the right sides are together and a second seam sewn so the raw edge is enclosed. This was not as easy as it sounds. The starched fabric behaved well enough, but there was some weird bunching where the French seams meet. I'm not sure if I could have sewn things together differently or incorporated the underarm gusset into the sleeve instead of sewing it separately. It's serviceable, and the puckering isn't in an overly visible place, so I'm not really worried about it for this garment.
The best part of sewing with chiffon is all of these little tiny thread dots that come off of anything I trim. My house is covered in them.
Next, I'll work on assembling the small pieces, cuffs and collar. To start, I need to pleat the ruffles onto the cuffs and collar pieces. I tried 2 different ways of gathering them, and no, they were both disasters. And the pleats look neater anyway. Once pinned in place, I'll sew the ruffles to one side of the cuff or collar and then place the other side on top, effectively sandwiching the ruffles inside. Then I'll sew the side seams, making sure not to catch the ruffles in them, and I can turn them right sides out and press everything nice and flat. left a couple inches of the sleeve seam open to be able to get them on over my hands, and I'm finishing them with a simple rolled hem, which you can also find in my rolled hems video. After that is finished, I'll pleat the full sleeves to the edge of the cuff and sew them to one side. After a quick pressing of both seam allowances, I'll finish the inside of the cuff edge with a whip stitch. The collar will be finished in exactly the same way at the neck edge of the shirt. The only things left to do are the double folded machine stitched hem and the addition of hooks and eyes on the cuffs and collars. With the sheer shirt finished, I turned my attention to the ombre dyed shift. The point of this was to look as though I'd been wading through bloody water and it had soaked up the hem of the shift. I researched some dye recipes on the internets and found that most of the blood-colored ones called for a red that was deepened with brown. Off camera, I wet the shift and wrung it out, thinking that having the material damp would encourage the capillary action that would draw the dye upward. This proved mildly efficacious. I rigged a hook and some string to hang the shift from and dipped it in. The result was very pink. did add more brown to see if that would help, but honestly, I think that the red I was directed to buy was too blue-toned. If I had to do it again, I would pick a more orange-based red like Scarlet instead of Cherry. As far as the dyeing process itself went, I mostly followed instructions from a number of gradient dyeing tutorials available on the web. resulting garment is a very lovely burgundy to pink ombre shift that is beautiful and also looks nothing like blood. Luckily, this was always meant to be an experiment, and while I will take some pictures that are very carefully color graded to look a little bit more bloody, it's not visible in the reveal, which is coming right now.
Well, my darlings, we did it. Fiddly chiffon, shedding threads, French seams, pleated ruffles, and everything. Some things that I was very worried about, working with chiffon, came out really well, and some things that I thought would go smoothly, ombre dyeing bloody hems, did not. But all in all, I'm really satisfied with how everything came out. And whether I win the competition or not, I had a really fun, inspiring time making this outfit, which is kind of what I needed this month. If you enjoyed this video and want to stick around, please like and subscribe. And if you want notifications, click the bell to turn those on. You can follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and I'll put a link to those in the description below, as well as my Ko-fi page if you would like to make a donation to the Alms Purse and help keep Opus Elenae in materials and production assistant Bran in treats. For those of you who were asking, an Opus Elenae Patreon is coming in the new year. I'm just setting up the reward tiers and schedules. But more importantly, croissant friends, be kind, do the work, continue supporting marginalized people, and keep creating. Happy Halloween! Gonna be another one of those ones, isn't it, where you just yell at me the whole time.